everywhere.
Essentially doing anything I can to make my space more inspiring and functional, and like with any creative process, leave plenty of room for inspired changes.
It did end up taking me quite a lot longer than I anticipated.
Hi, we are going to be painting. I was able to get lots of goodies at the store for touch-ups throughout the space. And then we've got Pinecone Hill, and I got an eggshell, so then it'd be really easy to clean. There are tons of areas in here that, while they're very small, are very, very distracting to me. This is the one that annoys me the most because this is right next to where I'm painting. So it's like, right. The other thing that I'm hoping to happen will be that I'll be able to take out officially all of my sewing stuff. I currently have this in here because there's no electricity in the tiny house studio, which we call the Maker's Nook. So I've been doing all my sewing in here, which has been awesome and honestly really enjoyable because it's like, I mean, nobody's upset about working in here. But I designed that space to be for fibers, and it would be really, really cool if during this time we were able to move the tiny house and get it plugged in to electricity. I am very excited to get started. And whoa, there's a giant spider over there. Okay, gotta get him going outside. The first step was to move everything into the center of the room so I'd be able to clean and properly paint. I got all the little repairs out of the way first, so I did joint compound, and then I also did wood filler on certain areas. As a full-time painter who makes really highly detailed works, I'm a firm believer that the details make all the difference in the world, and I see this space as the same. Taking time and care to each area just infuses so much more love into the space. Then it was time to tape off the windowsills. I also needed to spray fixative on my charcoal drawing, so I brought the guy outside and gave him a good spray. It's like there's a heat advisory for Wednesday, so I'm trying to like do this before that point, then hopefully I'm not like actually melting. The septic is happening still, which is good. And I also heard that we are indeed going to be moving the tiny house on Thursday, so that's really good news. So I will need to take some time to get that ready, and then I'll be able to bring all my sewing stuff officially in there. I decided to go with bringing the trim out to the entryway because I mean, this is going to be a huge job as well, and anything to make it look more beautiful. Plus, if you see this color and then you're looking in here, I think that'll be great. Ended up taking down the curtain for now just to like be able to get in here. I really want to be able to also have it open. With my deep love of green, but realization that I cannot in fact have my painting wall be green because I need to compare it to white when I'm painting, I decided to paint the trim green as well as make all the decor that you're gonna see pretty much is green. So that was my solution, and I'm really happy with how it feels.
I'm making things greener in here. These are drying. And now I have to remove everything on here. I'm just gonna keep checking on. I think I need to get a fan. I can't open any of the windows because none of them have screens. I love outfits. The lighting so adorable and so hungry at the same time. I need to mow the lawn, so I really appreciate your assistance. Bye. Good morning. I'm so excited because I feel like I did a lot of the prep work yesterday. Everything is moved out of the way and I can just kind of paint and do everything I need to do. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. I'm gonna assess if I need to do another coat, paint all the trim, do some of the detail stuff. I'm actually very excited to test out this metallic spray. I've never used spray paint before of any kind. I'm gonna test it on this cute little guy, which I want to have like cute little candles in here. However that ends up going, I'll be doing the organizers in here. I think it'd be really cool to add something cool to that. It'd be cool if it was cooler. That's pretty obvious. I just wrap my little brushes in little plastic wrap. I do not like using plastic wrap, but usually there's like some plastic around that I can just use, so it makes it much easier for the next day, and then you don't have to wash them every day.
I tried to get as much of the painting done as early as I could, so then I would stay a bit cooler. It was over 100 degrees over this span of this whole video. I was doing all of this movement during a heat wave. If I had a choice, I wouldn't have opened the door at this point. But I really wanted to be able to open this and go out on the porch, and it was totally worth it to paint the inside of the trim because it looks really clean when I open the door. My bangs have already lost the war against the humidity, and I've already gotten changed. Paint this guy, and then we'll be done with the like painting portion. Just kidding, I didn't do the fireplace. Okay, never mind. Don't listen to anything I said. Really needing second coat. It just got all this little stuff on it. And yeah, I was really careful, but I think it just needs 2 coats. I always do 2 coats or 3 coats. To get this white, because I covered blue, I did 3 coats, almost 4 on some spots. So this is what it looks like with 2 coats. And it shouldn't take me too long. I'm happy to do it. I just want it to look really, really beautiful. 2 coats of paint, that's what you need. That's what you're gonna get. The first coats are done on absolutely everything, and then I just need to do a second coat. I forgot this. Okay, let's crash that up. She's been emptied and cleaned. Great. Woo-hoo. Looks pretty good. I feel like I want to do another coat just to make sure I cover everything, but I'm honestly really happy with the color. This was the curtain. Curtain, no. I'll bring it inside. Let's go. Maybe not. I think my plan is quite simple. I purposely changed to just shoes that I don't mind getting paint on, because I do actually, in fact, have some articles of clothing that don't have paint on them, which is shocking. She suggested spraying about 6 to 12 inches away, so that's what I tried. I like to do a lot of light layers rather than just squeezing it and going crazy. I find that tends to look a little drippy and doesn't look as polished.
I feel like that's pretty darn cool. I'll leave this dry for a couple hours, and then I'll kind of see how I did, and then I'll use that for notes for how to do the bigger one. I'm sure there's areas I missed, but I've been trying to like I can already suss those. I am now. Doing 2 coats was totally necessary, but I am so exhausted. I just have touch-ups for those little guys. You like it?
So good.
Okay, so you get to take the last piece of painter's tape off. Oh my god. Ooh, it's like the hearth of the home. So I was like, you have to be in on it and all the magic. I actually really like these lights. Look the other way. They look like tulips.
Yeah.
This $20 bill. It is from 8/23/11, and it's the first art I ever sold in my whole life.
I remember selling this about 2 weeks before I went off to art school for the first time when I was 18.
And the woman, she was giving me $40 for the piece that I had made, but then she gave me an extra 20. To me at 18 being like, oh my God, you gave me an extra $20? And she was like, I want this as evidence that like you sold art and that it's that you can do this and that your art is worth something. And she was like, you can spend it in a year. And I was like, I'm literally never spending that. That's such a beautiful sentiment. So I am gonna put it behind I have these two like artwork, they're very like artwork books where it's like about the business of art, which I don't focus on very much.
Money certainly does not equate value for me in art. It's just about the act of doing it. And if it brings joy to people's lives, then I think it's successful and it has value. But it is important to note that it is my full-time job and it's an energy exchange. It's a way of saying that when someone buys your art, they are giving you something that they worked hard for something you worked hard for. And having this in my space as a symbol of a recognition of value means a lot to me. And then it was moments before I started my professional art career.
So I'm just gonna put that behind. The symbology of that is behind there. I just thought that was so unbelievably considerate of her and so just kind, and it meant a lot to me. Jessica, if you're watching this for some reason, you're a real one. I've come really far since that drawing. I'll put up the piece that I sold. This is when I made this when I was like 16 or 17. Anyways, I've made some decisions and I feel honestly really good about this. I'm also thinking of keeping out my Patria Day book. My dad and my stepmom gave me this book, I think, right around the time I graduated, and I just thought it was so sweet because they know that I'm obsessed with trees. And my MFA thesis, it evolved into something else, but it was mostly about trees for a while. So I ended up using my mortar and pestles as the weights for the books. It seems to be working. We're not mad about it. I mean, it's granite, it's heavy, so. And then I tried to do it by height, so it's like taller, smaller. Piling all of the stuff that's going to the tiny house over here. I think I'm gonna braid my hair and get into a little painty outfit and try to spray paint that rack with the other color that I got, because I really just want to be able to bring it in and organize everything. And that's the only thing that's holding me back, so. And hopefully my iced tea will be chilled soon. I will totally admit, I have been avoiding going outside like the plague. I feel like I'm gonna walk outside and like burst into flame like the Baron in What We Do in the Shadow. You're like, ah! I cannot tell you how excited I am for the septic to be done. Ah! Damn, girl, you look good. All right, she's not perfect, and I would have loved to have done like a second coat, but I want to have this be bronze, but we're gonna just do the hammered copper because I want this to get done. I'm not thrilled with it. I definitely would like it more if it was the other color, but like I said, I do need to just kind of get this done because I need to have my studio functional again.
All right, it's time to make this table cooler and more inspiring. So, as I pretty much primarily paint trees and leaves and flowers, I wanted to keep adding some of this beautiful paper that I added to the light switch covers. So I really wanted to make sure that it was blending as best I could. So I cut it and was really careful to kind of match things. I ended up just doing a common glue stick and putting those two larger pieces together. Then laid it on the ground and put my table on there. So I was really careful with the placement and kind of measured where I thought things should go. I drew out a line to border things. I overcompensated on purpose so then I would have more paper rather than less because I could always cut it away. And yeah, just cut out that big shape surrounding that. I think I started by giving it about 1.25 inches, but ended up reducing it a bit.
In my very professional, much better opinion of someone that's used it twice, No, I just usually use PVA, which is like a more professional grade glue for like bookbinding and collage and stuff. I've weirdly not done a lot of Mod Podge, which seems like would be the entryway glue, but you know, here we are. The thing that I found really helpful when I did the outlets was that the brush was extremely soft. I think that makes a huge difference. I think I'm gonna do half at once. We don't need any drama.
I lathered up the glue on the top and then the sides as well as the back of that half of the table. Then I carefully placed it down and rubbed it. And then just as if you were grading a seam inside of a garment, I did little snips to create less tension between the curve and the fact that it would be folded under. I also made sure to push my finger into where anywhere where there was a ridge, I pushed my finger in first and then laid it down rather than trying to do that after, because if I did it after, it would likely have split. Here's it nice and fast. And I did end up clipping the edges, but I am glad that I left it long at first because then I could kind of manage exactly where it was gonna go. I did a top coat on top of that, especially in the back and where it was going underneath the table. I was really mindful. Like with anything else, I feel like you do so much work and it feels like nothing's really happening, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam, so much progress. After bringing the copper rack inside and seeing it alongside this new basket that I brought in, I ended up actually really liking the color. I reorganized all of my supplies, so all my markers and pens and paints, and I got some ambiance going. I got these real wax candles that are rechargeable. I just don't feel safe lighting a bunch of tapered candles in my studio. I really wanted beautiful and easy access to my collage scraps, so this basket was perfect. Since we did in fact move the studio, this pile left. Woohoo! I have to market this little table at night or early in the morning, so having a directional light that feels more cozy and intimate felt like the right choice for this area. And I kept my plant alive that they left here at the house, which is shocking to me. Again, the beauty is in the little details. I painted white over my little pegs that are on my painting wall, just to not distract. I'm not a big tech girl, and finding ways to make my tech a little more beautiful was also an aim of this renovation. So I decided to use one of my original marble paintings that I've made that is one of my all-time favorites and put it on the inside of my laptop case because it's clear, so it would show through. Again, busted out that Mod Podge. I pre-cut it and then I rubbed it, apparently very vigorously. And then it looked kind of splotchy, and then it just dries slowly and becomes clear. I also got a really affordable new case for my iPad since I've been doing so much of my little animations for my videos. I painted this candlestick that I thrifted for $1 and added some little goodies. I love this house shape. I want to make some house-shaped art soon, so this is really inspiring. A glass jar with little daisies, so I just put them in there. Now it's time to actually install the hanging plants. If you want to see how I made these, you can watch the part 2 of this video. Just decided that I wasn't gonna use the curtains, and then now I'm like, do I at least try? So I'm gonna grab the curtains. I mean, I did make them. Let's just try. For now, I think having it on this one is actually really good because this is, like, we're doing all the construction in the kitchen. It gives it like a mood. I might not keep it. You know. I'll finish up the last few things and then I'll be able to share how everything came out. See before. These jabronis still have quite a lot to take out, including a giant ass armoire. They had really large curtains on here. This song, Forest Green, was written for me by my husband Dan. I think it perfectly fits to share with you how this space came out. I really don't have words for what this space means to me. To have a painting studio that has beautiful natural lighting, is surrounded by trees, has a cozy little fireplace, and space for me to just exist. And I've had a lot of studios since graduating from art school, and this is not the biggest, but it is for sure the most spectacular. It feels so custom to me. I made every decision, and I could really create this space to be comforting and inspiring, and keeping things really organized and minimal is super important for me, or I get really distracted. I had a ton of fun making all of the DIYs for this space. As a fine artist, I really try to be mindful to make sure art is still my hobby as well as my job. And so, yeah, getting to do some faux flower arranging and spray painting and all that stuff was really cool. And I made a cozy little cushion, which I use on my back sometimes. And I'm just getting into making these videos, so making a space that feels beautiful around my tech is definitely important. We did it! Woohoo!
If you are interested in actually purchasing one of my paintings, you can. They're on my shop. I like to keep a selection of smaller pieces, so paper paintings that are really accessible and affordable, larger works that you just contact me and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about this piece, and I can give you more details. I can give you pricing, especially estimating for shipping can be tricky for folks, so I like to do that through email. I am currently accepting summer and fall painting commissions. I can only accept a few because obviously they take a really long time and I make my own paint, so that's a whole thing. But I can also do acrylic paintings or even do it on paper. So you can find all of that stuff on my website, but I also put links below. Talk to you later, bye.
All right, I just put so many things up and have been making it even nicer in here, but that's okay. I knew this day would come. It will all be going back and I'll have a lot of fun, and then I can make new decisions and be like, oh, I want to change a few things or whatever.